Yeah, hi, good afternoon. This is another great episode of this show. This great afternoon, while we're discussing a very great conversation that we're going to be having this. While we wait for some of our guests, the remaining of our guests, I know they're having some technical issues joining us this great afternoon. And this afternoon, we will be discussing very interesting conversation, which is we're discussing how we can create impact and resilience, but using different methodology or methods of advocacy method in which is media in creating more knowledge in terms of how to create impact. So, but before the show, we will go for this short prelude of one of our one of our past shows, and with the show we had on photography, and then we have a commercial break, and then we go straight to our speaker in the house. And that's a message from one of our sponsor, Trumps. Thank you so much, Trumps, for giving us that great service. And for some of you who want to patronize Trumps, you can go to trumps.com and get much information about what Trumps is all about. And I have with me today on the show a very amiable. I can't finish reading her profile. She is a great world leader par excellence. I like her to introduce herself, and then I'm so honored to have her, and still expecting two of our guests to also join us on the show. Benedicta. Benedicta, would you like to introduce yourself to us?
Okay, hello everyone. It's good evening from this end. My name is Benedicta Apuamah. I am a pharmacist. That's the flyer already says. I am also a wife, a mother, and currently a student. I'm a master's student at the Management Center in Innsbruck. I'm studying for a master's in international health and social management. I'm sure you'd be wondering how this profile relates with the topic for today. I do have a lot of experience volunteering with international, both local and international organizations. I also run my own organization, and yes, advocacy, volunteering, and community service actually got into where I am. So I think let me just wait to meet the other guests. Thank you.
We're so glad to also have our very interesting guest in person of on-air personality, who just joined us on the show. We're so excited to have you on this show. Ma Idara. Please, Idara, would you like to just introduce yourself to us?
Okay, good evening, Stephen. Good evening to my sister there. Okay, well, I'm actually Idara, so we keep it straight. Idara, so
Idara.
it becomes tongue twisting, yeah. So actually, I'm a radio presenter, and I'm also things, content creation, and all of that. But the cocoa of the matter is that I'm actually the founder of Exo Downloaders Players Advocacy Initiative, and we are all the rare condition called that. By the way, I'm a mother of two children who have the condition. So that's basically and suffer. Those of them here in Africa to try to make life a little easier for them. So in a short, that's just what I do, and that's who I am.
Okay, let's just go straight to the conversation. Benedicta, reading from the profile, you've been involved in series of advocacy projects, both local and international. What do you think do you think media play a pivotal role in terms of advocacy outreach or advocacy outreach? Let me just use the word outreach. We're talking about issues on polio, we're talking about issues on violence against women, we're talking about issues on female genital mutilation. Do you think media advocacy play a part in changing the narrative?
Yes, of course, media does play a huge role in that. Um, I don't have the statistics right now, but I know that every one of us spends a huge part of our day on social media. So it's if you want to get the attention of people today, if you want people, if you want to get a message across, if you want to keep a conversation going, media is one of the best places that you can use. I'm just going to cite the example of something that just happened recently in Nigeria. So this also goes to tell you the power of media. I am currently not in Nigeria, but I know exactly what is trending with regards to domestic violence or violence against women because of media. And the news making round about the gospel artist who just died as a result of domestic violence. So yes, media does play a very huge role, in advocacy. One of the most important thing is getting conversations to be going around a topic. And that is exactly what media does. If your hashtag is trending on Twitter or if you have consistent content on a particular matter, be rest assured that the conversations will go on all over. And whether you like it or not, there is power in numbers. When more people begin to talk about these things, it will eventually get to the tables of those who can influence, who can make the decisions around this. And before you know it, we have a change coming on the way.
Okay, Miss Idara, what do you think? Do you think
Yeah.
media can change the narrative?
Well, essentially, I think as a media person, I'll be talking from the standpoint of yes, it has. Even if these days we have a lot of work to be done, especially with terrestrial media. When Benedicta was talking, she was actually talking about social media and all of that. But then taking the advocacy to places like radio, television, and the rest, sometimes it can be hard because then you are faced with people. There's this block where people are telling you, okay, so you need to pay to get your advocacy across. People are telling you, okay, so you need to present it in a certain way so you are not offensive. Unlike social media, where you can just put it out there, start a conversation, and then people pick on it and then start running with it. So I should be talking about terrestrial media, which for a lot of people who are in the interlands, people who can access the social media space, like it is like a tug of war, especially those of us in Nigeria, to be able to break, because at the end of the day, you find out that there are obstacles that you have to break through. Take for instance, I'm talking about ectodermal dysplasias. Most of the time, most of the people you find who have this condition are people from are low income earners, people who don't really have any help from anywhere. So you are also trying to get them to get the needed help. But then you try to use our terrestrial media and then you get all the people
I guess we're having issues with a connection. That's the connection from far back home in Africa. So I wanted to go back to you, Benedicta. Going back on a reaction. I wanted to ask you a very interesting question about the female space and governance. Let's see if she can continue.
Okay.
Go ahead. Hello.
Hello. I'm trying to reconnect, but the network here is kind of
Turn. Yeah.
bad. So hoping it reconnects in a few, so we
Okay.
can talk about it.
Okay. So let me go to Benedicta. Looking at the trend of what's going on in the U.S. now, we having the first female, the black in history that never happened. Yeah, that's never happened in the history. Having the black woman who was ruling in the White House right now. It was ruling in the Congress. What's your
Oh,
reaction? Do we think there's still hope for the woman for the women, especially for women in Africa, to also play a pivotal role in decision making, especially politics or governance? What is your own intake about this, Benedicta?
Thank you very much for the very interesting question. Yes, I think it is I don't know whether to call it a starting point, because if you look at Africa as a whole, not just Nigeria, you find that a lot of women are beginning to take their seats on tables of leadership. Take Liberia, for instance. Liberia has produced the first ever female president in Africa. There are lots of women that are coming up now, not just into politics, but are now beginning to take good positions, high positions. I'm going to cite another example with Rwanda, that has their parliament, their government
network is
almost have
centuries.
they have almost equal stake right now. Like the male and the female gender are they're almost equal, in their governance. I think it's a very interesting topic, because let's take a look at the home, for instance. The woman is saddled with a lot of responsibilities, from being a wife to being a mother, for those who are still doing career to also taking on career. It's not an easy job to be able to do this. If a woman is able to manage all of these, I see no reason why she cannot be a governor or be a president of a nation. Because technically, being a governor or being in governance is actually leading people, putting the interest of people at heart, being able to manage interests, etc. So I very much support the idea that women should be given the position. I'm going to give you a personal example. I may not be in governance yet, but I am a wife, I'm a mother, and in addition to the many things I do, I am currently a student, a master student. Something very interesting happened over the weekend. Over just before the weekend, I was on a call with an organization, because I'm supposed to do a policy brief for them, because it's part of my assignment in school. And I was holding my baby because I can't help it. We arrived here a few months ago, so I cannot afford a nanny at the moment. So I go with my baby to class, and thankfully he's calm and collected. So we just stay in class together. So while on that call, the one of the it's actually a women organization that is based in Dublin, and one of the staff just said, "Oh, you remind me of an MP who takes her baby with her to the parliament." And I asked, "Really?" She says, "Yes." And I actually had to quickly Google her after the call, and I found out it was true. Women have all it takes to get into governance, and the earlier people realize it, the earlier our country realizes it, the better. I googled her and I actually found out that yes, it was true. She went with her baby. She goes with her baby to her MEP meetings and parliament, and there are pictures of her baby voting with her. So I think this is something that this conversation should go on and on until we have more women and more women in governance.
All right, thank you so much. I wanted to ask you one question about the space of we looking at women, issues around women, especially women who are probably abused. Can you hear me? Can you
Yes,
hear
I
me?
can.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So
can.
women are being abused. What do you think, in terms of women also pass through quite a number of issues, and people believe, and looking at the cultural norms of Africa, in the sense that when people believe that the women's space, the women should be relegated into the kitchen, or the women should be relegated to only house chores. What do you think is the role of the CSOs? What do you think is the role of the media? What do you think is the role of the policymakers? Three strategies and three people that I mentioned here: the media, the government, and all right.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Idara, do you want to speak now? I think her internet's a bit stable now. Or do I go on? Okay, I can speak.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, I'm going to speak on based on the CSO perspective, because I feel like I maybe partly the media, because that's actually where my experience lies. I think that the CSOs, the non-governmental organizations, are already doing a good job. But something that I'm going to recommend, which I'm sure they probably have in mind, will be sustainability, consistent. So if we continue passing these messages like we're already doing, staying on top of hashtags, consistency, ensuring that a lot of people, like these conversations are being made in a number of places, at the grassroots level, at the policymaker level, etc. There's so many changes that we can bring about. We have seen quite a number of examples, not only internationally now, but even in our own country, Nigeria. We have the likes of Madam Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. There's Madam Obi. There are so many people. There's me. There are. I know a number of young women out there who are doing so much, who are not allowing themselves to be relegated to this culture that silence women, that do not allow women to live up to their dreams or to pursue careers or do whatever they want to do. I think we need to keep the conversations going. We need to keep the campaigns going. We need to keep having this whatever we can do to ensure that people keep talking about this, even if it's just making videos for anything. Actually, also going to lobby, because I've volunteered with an organization that believes in not only applying the tool of media, but also lobbying policymakers, involving people of influence like celebrities, to ensure that anyone who has influence over people should get this message and keep running till the change that we want is effected.
So I wanted to ask Miss Idara. what do you think should be the role of the government? How do we infuse the government in terms of policy regulation in getting out messages? Can you hear me? I guess she's having issues with network. Hello.
Okay, yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you right now.
Okay, first of all, I really need to apologize for the service here is really terrible, but I hope it doesn't switch me off again. Now, the thing is that there are several policies that the government, different administrations have set up for different organizations, CSOs, and uh, different, as it were, different NGOs and all of that. But then again, the issue we have is implementing these policies, and then that is the crux of the matter. How many government policies have come to the light of day? How they have not been truncated along the way, and people have not taken advantage of it to maybe line their pockets. Can you hear me?
We can hear you clearly.
Okay, so maybe line their pockets and then try to maybe step all of those policies. And what government can do for us, we need to see a lot of transparency. We need to see that if any of those policies, whether you're talking about people with disability, people living with one ailment or the other, community advocacy, gender based, whatever it is, we must see some level of sincerity. And then government making sure that these policies there's a follow-up. There's so much that groups and NGOs can do. There's so much we can do. At the point to that I'm using Nigeria for instance. Now you get to the National Assembly and then you're lobbying for all of these things. You find people coming out to say, okay, so I'm gonna like your course, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. At the end of the day, you find out that your paper just ends on somebody's table and somebody's waiting for you to grease palms. And then the only thing you're asking yourself, so sometimes you're so discouraged saying, okay, so why am I into this in the first place? So I think government should do more than just talk. They should make sure they should know the policies that they make and all the lives of these people, they are implementing it as well. Because if we can't take this good news back to the people in our groups, and so it's the case to the National Assembly, hoping that next month will happen, and in the next year, about it. You keep going from one office to the next, and they keep bouncing you and telling you, oh, that is not or that travel, or that is trying to get back to you, and nobody goes back to you. I think government should do more like that. And then if there are policies, for example, now those of us in the I use my own little community as a case study now. We are saying, okay, so we want to be part of the community act. Why don't you we are not getting results? Why? Because some people feel, okay, so madam, come and give us something. Madam, God will not see you without what like everyone. So at the end of the day, all go home smiling. It's not to just tell us and then make bogus claims, and at the end of the day, nothing comes out of it. That's my take.
Okay. I'm going to ask us to before I take Benedicta to answer the question about the issue of gender-based violence, and we'll go for a short break, and we'll be right back after this short break. So welcome back. We're going to take this reaction about the gender-based violence. Over the weekend, we had a sad story of one of the top Nigerian musician, gospel musician, that was with a story. The also story that we heard that she was being humiliated by her husband or being abused, by her husband. Different reports came out in different media agencies. But this is while the show was going on. Also, a report came to me of a woman that was also abused by a man also. And I just got the news, and also this story is a trending issues that happen in families. So about violence on women. So what is your own standpoint? You have been in advocacy for quite a number of time, and I know Miss Idara also would also be a big witness. You've covered stories on issues, training issues that have been going on in different homes in terms of being abused, and a lot of people have lost their life in this case. An example is what we had over the weekend. So, what exactly is your standpoint about what do you think could be done in terms of advocacy drive on women and violence against women or abuse? Benedicta.
Thank you so much for this question. I mean, it's a very sad story. Even though I have some experience in advocacy, I am learning and growing every day. And I'm beginning to understand more that some of these things are deeply rooted in our culture. Culture is the way of life of a people. It's our culture that has taught us that a man should, we agree that a man is the head of the home. It's our culture that has taught us that a man is supposed to be the head. A woman should not be heard. She should be seen. It is our culture that has taught us that if a woman is earning more than a man, then there's a problem with that. Then the man is woman rapper in quotes. We also have some religions that also magnify these things. And if we look at it very well, as much as we want to take on the tool of advocacy, we should also look at the family circle. That is where a child begins to learn some of these things. We are the ones that teach our male children, boys do not cry, a man should not cry. So when they have challenges, they don't know how to share these things. And then they, of course, once they are married, they push all the aggression to their wives. It is our culture that teaches, I mean, it's these conversations need to keep on going. As far as much as we are advocating that for our girl children to be well taken care of, there are always campaigns. I'm one of those who are always campaigning for girls. I think it's time we also focus on our boys and our men. They also need these trainings. They need these upbringings. They need all this tutoring as well. It's a very sad story. And I just checked the statistics for the prevalence of gender-based violence in Nigeria, and it's almost 60%. That is amazing. It's really sad. We need to and then the COVID-19 pandemic also worsened things because during the pandemic, I mean, some people had escape routes of going to work or at least leaving the house to do things. But the COVID-19 pandemic, you're stuck with this person who is always abusing you. I mean, he's not working, there's no place to go to. Of course, you're going to be turned into a punching bag. And when we say gender-based violence, it's not only women who get abused, men get abused too. You know what? We need exactly. I'm seeing the comment. People need to begin to speak up. We need to talk more about these things. Most of these things thrive in secrecy. We need to be exposing them. Imagine if she had spoken up, before now. If she had spoken up and people knew about it, I'm sure we probably will not be having this conversation now after she has died. So it's just so much. I think you're muted.
I'd love to take the other reaction from her, but she's not here. Since you're the one here, so what exactly? Okay, I'd like to take I'd like to take your reaction about what are the enforcement? You've been in the training media, or you've been in the media space, and you know what is exactly happening in terms of gender-based violence on women, and looking at the what happened, the horrible incident that happened over the weekend. What exactly do you think could be done in terms of policies on violence against women? And so what exactly are your own recommendations on this?
Well, if you will ask me, I will say it's not for lack of policies. There are a lot of policies on ground. Government is doing everything to create awareness, to sensitize women and men. They, especially here in Lagos State, there's a law against gender-based violence. So it's not for want of policies. There are a lot of them. And so I'm not going to dwell on that. I'm going to dwell on us actually knowing. A lot of people are ignorant. And just like Benedicta said, we have created this culture for women, this culture of silence for women. So you're going through a lot, and then they're saying, okay, the man is the head of the home, and then you are supposed to take it, and just it's your cross to carry whatever it is in the home. So the woman goes through hell, and she cannot talk about it. The man also, on his own part, is going through hell that he cannot talk about. We don't even have psychologists, trained people that you can walk up to these days and talk about your problems. So they refer you to your religious leaders, who, in essence, most times don't even know anything. They're just talking from the backdrop of their own marriages, and then sometimes using myths and untruths to cover up their ignorance. So some of them tell you, okay, stay, the Bible says you should stay and endure. How many times do you endure a man who has respect? So I start from the home, it starts from us as people. First, as a woman, as a man, have self-respect. There's something called self-respect. There's so much you can take from a person who has no respect for you. There's so much you can take from somebody who talks down. Because teach our women, teach our children that look, you are first off more important. Your pride is more important than anything you can do for anyone. You teach them how to make their own money. You teach them how to be independent. You teach them that what they know is what they know. Then I think most of those problems would be half solved. And then again, our religious houses should stop with the misconception that we should live in because is our cross, is our suffering. I think with the story we heard over the weekend, what really for me was baffling was the fact that some religious leaders had the audacity, I need to put it like that, to come out and say it's a suffering, it's a cross, it's something that if you don't like a reward for being to heaven, so everybody must have a suffering. And I was like, are you for real? Okay, so and then still worry about my religious leader would tell me. So it's bad. I don't think it's a problem of policies because we have a lot. I think government has done so much in that regard. Government counts as gender-based violence, but until we change our mindsets, until we change the way we see things, until we change the way we train our male children, if she says no, no means no. If we change the way we teach our female children, it's not your job to always wash plates, go to the market, cook for a man. He crosses his leg, he spreads a newspaper or a magazine and tells you, okay, I want water. You go and get it for him. You're not a slave. You must be a human being before you're anybody's wife. You must first of all be a human being before you're anybody's husband. So until we teach our children the right values, until we teach the right thing to do, we will keep going round the circle. And trust me, it's a vicious circle that a lot of people are still not coming out to talk about it. And just like I said, we need to create conversations around this. This is one of the things that advocacy will do for us. And social media is there to help us. We need to create conversations around this all the time. Get more women to come out and tell their stories. Get more men to come out and tell their stories. A lot of men are going through hell in their marriages. A lot of women are going through torture in their marriages. But if we don't create that avenue where people can come out and talk about it, this will continue. It continues in the area of sexual molestation. They tell you don't talk about it. It continues in the area of you are stuck as a human being. So for me, I don't think government has any issues. We first of all need to change our mindset. We first of all need to change the way we see things, the way we understand that things will be done, and at the end of the day, it will be the better for us. If government set policies, and then you're not enlightened enough to know that if a man hits you, you can actually report him, then it's no use. If government sets policies, and then you don't realize that, look, it is not your place to listen to a religious leader until they carry your corpse out, then it's of no use. We must be educated enough. We must be enlightened enough. We must be educated. The word I am looking for I have not found, but trust me, we need to do more as a people. These stories are just.
I completely agree with her. I found something very interesting, with this whole thing going on, that went on over the weekend, and it's still going on. And so someone put on, and her, I think it was someone tweeted to say, that if actually she had left the marriage, assuming she did not die, that it's possible that a number of churches would have stopped inviting her for ministrations. And that's just hits me differently. Because I'm a Christian, but I don't know how we came up with these things. I know God, I love God, I serve God for myself, and I know that God is not a wicked God. I know that God will not want you to die in abuse. So I don't know where people come up with these things. People will always be people. They will always talk. So what came to my mind was, if this had happened to, for the ministers who are saying, it's her cross, will their report the same if it was the other way around? If it was a male pastor being beaten up by his wife, will the
Benedicta,
report be the same?
Benedicta, hold your thought there. While I was just speaking, somebody just sent me this. You can see this lady.
Yeah.
Just a
Oh
few
wow.
seconds, just a few minutes ago, this just happened, and and it's to tell you that this happened. She was being stabbed, just a few minutes ago.
Oh wow. Oh wow. Oh wow. Wow. Wow.
And I tell you, this is a reality. And when what happened over the weekend has shown to us that we live in a very insane society where we've been covered up with religion, with the religion jargons and principles. I've seen a lady that was beaten up in a relationship, and a pastor says, "You go back home, just pray, the Lord will change his heart." And I remember the Lord was a little bit late. I'm so sorry. Lord doesn't go late, but this issue went late, and she died in the process.
A
And
relationship,
how
not even
do
marriage.
how
Oh
do we
wow.
checkmate? How do we
Oh.
checkmate this? But before we do this, I'll just go for a short commercial break from one of our partners again. And how do we checkmate the issue of abuse? And what exactly is the role the religious sector hold a pivotal role, in this, because a lot of people believe so much in it. People believe in their pastor that they believe in God. I always say to people that if you say, our pastor says that, oh, my pastor is ministering in Ibadan, and Jesus Christ himself is ministering in Lagos, people will drive to Ibadan and listen to their pastors rather than coming to meet Jesus. So, and if you hear this, let me tell you something. This lady would have reported to her pastor severally, whether we like it or not. From a real, she would have reported. And I'm asking a question, and this also downplay even in the Muslim, but not even in the Christendom alone, the bold religion. So how do you think the religious sector, because we're so I don't know what the word to use to be brainwashed, but before then, I'm going to ask this question because I know Miss Idara is boiling. So I'm going to ask this. I'm going to go on a commercial break, and we'll be right back after this commercial break. How do we checkmate? We have a very funny, even law enforcement agency. When issues like this happen, and I know you're a journalist, Ms. Dara, and a person goes to report and says that, oh, my husband just beat me up, and then the policeman will tell you that is what they always call it one name. That is what do they call it? That is a marital. I don't know what they call it. So you guys should go and sort it out within yourself. Do you think this is the right, approach in the right direction in terms of treating this case? But when you now get to the issue of when a man beats up a woman and then she's going to report at the police station, at the end of the day, she dies in this process, and you want to bring this man to justice. So what exactly do you think could be done in terms of, regulations, what the policymakers themselves, they also play a role, the religious sector plays a role, the civil society play a role. But I think the religious sector also play a very vital role because people believe the law, people believe the religious sector even than the law, So the truth about it for me as a person, what do you think can be done in the right direction that this does not replicate, whether you like it or not? This is happening again. I just showed you what's just going on some few seconds ago. This is happening, and so what exactly do we do to put a stop to this ugly incident? I want Mrs. Dara to answer this question, and then we can take
Okay, so I think the thing is this: the system everywhere is rotten. When it comes to gender-based violence, the problem is more is rotting from the very core. Now, I would use my personal experience. My younger sister was going through abuse in her marriage. So at that point, we decided to go to the Lagos State Police Command.
You're muted.
So we're having a lot of this technical issue with our guests. Okay, okay, Mr. Dara,
technical issues.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the police woman didn't know she came from a journalist. So immediately she came and talked about the fact that she was suffering abuse in the marriage. She asked her to go and bring money before she even write a statement. And for me, it sounded very bad. This young lady didn't have a job because for years the man didn't let her work. He was intimidated by her for whatever reason. He didn't allow her to go to school. She stopped halfway after their first child. And so she was dependent on him for almost everything. And so I think it was inferiority complex because I think at the point he even turned her against the rest of us in the family and almost killed her before we intervened. So when the policewoman asked her to pay, I said, somebody came to you helpless. She didn't have anywhere to go. She didn't have a dime. We even borrowed her money to come to report this case. And then you're asking her to pay money. So I called up some of my friends. And then when they found out the case was beyond them, and we were going to take it to the commissioner of police, they adjusted and started addressing the issue. Now, for me, that sent a very strong signal to me that this could go on for other people who didn't have anybody to help them. Meaning that there are thousands of women out there who would go to a police station, which should be your first port of call if you're suffering abuse, to report. And then the police officer will ask you to pay money to save your life. A situation that you came in, it was a life or death affair, and somebody who was supposed to render help to you is saying, come and grease my palm before I do my job. Now we left that, we went to the Lagos State domestic violence. Come and see the protocols. If they were beating you in the marriage, you would have died before you will be able to get justice. Because the paperwork, the bureaucracy, the bottlenecks, everything was frustrating. Now imagine you going there to say my husband is beating me and or my wife is abusing me, and then you have to go through that for months on end. You don't have 1 naira to your name. You don't have anywhere to go with your children. There's no safe haven for you anywhere. The system on its own is rotting. Now we keep raising children. These days, I look at the generation we have and I say we have too many children with entitlement mentality who feel the world revolves around them. So you go and marry this person who have a mega-sized ego, who cannot take no for an answer, who doesn't believe that somebody should talk when they are talking, who doesn't believe that, yes, I grew up in a situation, if you have heard about Ajegunle at all, that's where I grew up. So we had a lot of those cases that went unreported for years. So for me, sometimes when I hear these things, I say, okay, we've heard it while we're growing up, even though there was no social media to bring it to the fore. But the truth is, it has been going on. It's as old as man. Gender-based violence is as old as man himself. It's just that these days, people have taken it a notch higher. A man can look at his wife, set her ablaze, like the story that was trending just last week, just because she went to build a house for herself and used her name. And he set her ablaze, a mother of 4 children. She's the mother of your children. And had the audacity to call the family to say, oh, your sister is the house is on fire. I tried to save your sister. I couldn't. A woman that just came back from Scotland. So there's a lot of things that are wrong with the system. And trust me, these issues are not going to end anytime soon. It just depends on us as the media, people who are well-meaning Nigerians or well-meaning people across the world, to not stop talking about it. A lot of advocacy work should start because many women and men are going through hell. I belong to a group on Facebook. It's not a Nigerian thing alone. People in the US, people in the UK talk about how they suffer abuse in the marriage. And women are going through hell. Depression, anxiety, they can't take care of themselves, they can't take care of their children, they don't have anywhere to go. And I will keep saying it, there is so much government can do. We have to start. Once we start, once you teach your child, when somebody hits you, don't stay and begin to explain anything. Go straight and report him. If you don't have any police that will listen to you, look for a civil society group, a civil rights group, report him there and make sure that somebody deals with him or her. When 1 or 2 people are used as scapegoats around that community, people begin to adjust. That look, it's no longer business as usual. If you touch one woman here, then know that you are going in for it. If you touch one man here, know that you're going in for it. We need to set examples with people. Just like the lady that you've shown us now. If at the end of the day, nobody's speaking for her, the man will begin to feel it's his birthright. So more and more people need to come out and lend their voices. Don't sit in your house and say it doesn't concern me. It might not concern you directly, but what about your siblings? What about your female children? What about your relatives? Somebody somewhere in one family is suffering gender violence as we speak. They might not come out to tell you because society has caged us to think it's a thing of shame. It's like we're disgracing our family name and our family values when we come out to talk about things that we suffer in our marriages. So you stay there and die in silence. But I think it's about time that we come out and create that avenue. If possible, go and do room door by door, maybe giving posters to women, flyers to women to say if you have issues, call this number. If you're suffering this, call this number. It has gone beyond even staying on social media to do this. I think it should be a door-to-door advocacy now, so that more women who cannot speak English, who don't understand what we are doing now, can come out and talk about it. If you hear some women's story, trust me, you would cry, you will shed real tears. They are going through hell in their marriages, and their religious leaders, their community leaders, the heads of their families, their mothers and their fathers have told them, you have left this house, you can't come back, you can't disgrace the family name, so you have to stay and take it until they carry them in a body bag. This has to end. And it starts with all of us. All of us. Everybody has a duty to do this and make it work.
All right, thank you so much. I have Pastor Mrs. Dara Nijo on the line from South Africa. Okay, hold on. I have Pastor Dara. I have Pastor Dara Nijo. Hold on. Okay, I have Pastor Dara Nijo from South Africa. What can you say about violence against women in a relationship?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
I think the issue at hand is something that a lot of women need to begin to tell themselves about. You need to look critically into it, and because of what the society is telling us as women, like when you're having issues with your husband, whatever you're going through, you need to keep it in. And and the first thing that comes to the mind of every woman is, oh, my kids, those that have children, what will the church say about it? What will the environment, your parents, my friends, how are they going to feel that, oh, you went into a marriage and you're coming out of a marriage? And I'm actually one of those women that have a kind of experience. And I was into a marriage for like almost 30 years. And at the point, I need to tell myself, I need to bow out of the marriage. And I did. And I never regretted it. So we need to begin to tell ourselves the truth. It's all about you. It's not about what the community or what the people in the community, what your family, what the church is going to say, because most of the pastors, what they normally tell us is that God is not not happy about divorce, and when some pastors tells you that, they actually do that to kind of protect or from an angle of trying to protect your home, to protect your marriage. But meanwhile, you'll be dying inside. So I think women should begin to tell yourself, what exactly do I want? And whatever you think is right for you, you do it without thinking of what someone will say or what the church is going to tell you. From my own example, I've been through under some maybe 4 pastors, and I was going through so much marriage, and at the end of the day, no one was able to say, oh, this is how, they know the truth, but they don't want your marriage to kind of suffer, or you have divorce, or you leave your marriage. But at the end of it, I chose the path that I actually needed to. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Pastor Daranijo from South Africa, who called all the way from South Africa to share our own experience. As we run up the show right in some few minutes, what are the practical recommendations you think could be done in terms of looking at all the issues that are surrounding women, these things happen, whether we like it or not. These things happen in a family home. A lot of things happen. I've seen this. A lot of, and our generations are, this our generation are even worse. So don't let us even go there, you know. So you can imagine you're going into a relationship and somebody's saying that you have to sign prenup. What's prenup? That those are fathers and into a relationship. So these are very sensitive key issues that we have to look at, and somebody's asking you, okay, go and bring your statement of account. Let me see your financial security. So is it by that? So, but these are issues that are real. These are issues that are trending. People say they are Gen Z or millennials, or whether millennials or Gen Z. The truth about it is, look at the numbers of divorce that we have right now, and these are fresh marriages. Some people, this is not strange. People get married on Saturday, and on Sunday, they on Monday, they go to the court and break up. This is not, they even have a party for breakup too. So after divorce, so these are norms that are happening. And for me, it's sickening when you hear young people say some things out, or because they hear it. Even the prenup that you're hearing, how many people do prenup? So what are your strong recommendations as we round up the show? I'd like to give it up to Miss Idara. What are your strong recommendations in terms of women creating impacts? A woman wants to get involved in policy in terms of leadership role. Her husband says that, so I want to have a hedge over you at home. Their families are coming to come and say different kind of things. But see, the people who are ruling different industries today, top captain of industries today, whether you like it or not, are women. What can you say for the next generation coming after us? What are your strong recommendations to them?
Okay, so quickly, I'm going to say this. Last month was the International Women's Day, and what I said was that women are the salt of the earth. Yes, it's biblical, but it's the truth. With no woman, you can't do with us, you can't do without us. We are very important in the scheme of things. Now, you did say women are captain of industries, women are just making their marks, whether in politics, wherever they find themselves, they are standing out. That's to tell you that if you put just a little in a woman's hand, she can make mounting out of it, and in a good way. So when society starts seeing us in that light, then we will be the better for it. Society needs to start seeing us like we are more than just helpmates. We are more than just second class citizens. We are more than just putting us here on the earth to serve men. We are more than that. And now, before I go, I need to say this quickly. Women, please stop shaming other women when they come out to say their stories. It is very common with women to be the ones to say, hey, how can she say that? Hey, women supporting women in the mud. Please be genuine enough to understand that your sister is going through hell. When she comes to you to talk to you about what she's going through, be supportive enough, rally around her, and don't be the reason for her pain. Women do that a lot. We are the first to run and say, hey, look at her, she's too fat. Look at her, she's not fine. Look at her. We are the first. Before men would do it, we are the first. So we should stop that mentality and not see it like we're competing against each other. Once we have that mentality that we are here to make the world a better place and leave it better than we met it, then I think our problem is half solved. You can confidently look a man in the face and tell him, look, I am more than this marriage. And if you are not meeting my expectations, I think I have a right to say it is over and I can walk out. Please,
All right.
women, we can do better.
All right,
Yes,
thank you
sir.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much for Benedicta. I want to hear your strong recommendation. If you're supposed to have to sit at the United Nations to sit on behalf of young African women folks, or what are the strong recommendations you think the government can do in terms of supporting these young women? What are your strong recommendations, frank recommendations that you'd like to give out?
Thank you. I would say that CSOs should engage, and organizations should engage men more in the advocacies. Not just men, but engage religious and traditional leaders in their advocacy rounds and campaigns. Also, women need to be empowered financially, because one of the things that make them second guess, one of the things that made them second guess living abusive relationships of marriage is because they cannot take care of themselves or the children that they have. So those are my two strong recommendations. Religious leaders, traditional leaders, cultural leaders, any sort of leader that you know has influence over a group of people should be engaged in advocacies, policy, whatever it is. And women should be financially independent. If for those who are not educated, even if it's starting a petty trade, anything, cash donations, they need to be financially independent. That way, they should be strong enough to stand against any kind of abuse.
Thank you so much. I'd like to say thank you to Benedicta. Thank you so much, Mrs. Idara. I have so much enjoyed the great time we spent. Thank you, Joy Ife. Joy Ife, thank you so much from Abuja. Thank you, Omotola Florence. Thank you, Derica Rollins from Gary City, Indianapolis in the USA. Thank you, Tunde Ogunshuba. And thank you, Evelyn Okon, reaching us from Abuja. Thank you so much for everybody. And thank you, Miss Darani, just for sharing that thoughtful experience for all the way from South Africa. I would like to say thank you for everybody who has joined us on this show. This show is every Sunday, 3 p.m. New York time and 8 p.m. Nigerian time. Next week, Sunday, we're going to be having a very interesting conversation as the conversation goes on. We'll be having conversation. Upper week, we'll be having a U.S. senator who will be with us to talk about the black and, talk about the power of black. We're going to be talking about the power of black and the power of black. So we're going to have some strong world leaders or young leaders who will also be joining us. Thank you, Fidelis. Fidelis has been a great leader, in his own field. So thank you, Fidelis, also for joining us on this show. I'd like to say thank you so much for everybody who has joined us on this, the Bold Conversation. Join us next week, Sunday at 7 p.m. 8 p.m. Nigerian time and 3 p.m. New York time. Thank you so much. I'd like to say thank you so much to Miss Idara. Thank you so much, Benedicta. In no short time that we go back to you to join this bold conversation, you were here. I always round up this show by saying, together we aspire, together we achieve, together we make great things happen, for we can, we will, we must. I'd like to say see you the same time next week, Sunday, on the show, and to have a very, 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 very interesting time.
What see you there wait for? You no need to stress at all, at all. Say if I don't think for us, make we golly they go, even small picking, mommy, daddy, take a life for you. We are bruku to Komaro, Sisi Eko, I beg no they slow. Sani bank better life promo, you don't dare for you. What see you there wait?
The Zenith Better Life promo season 2 is here, and it's bigger and better. 20 lucky customers will win 150,000 naira each every 2 weeks between now and January 31st, 2023. To participate, simply open a Zenith Bank account and maintain a minimum balance of 5,000 naira. Request, pick up and activate a Zenith Bank debit card, virtual or physical. Download and register on the Zenith mobile app or sign up for the star 966 hash easy banking service, and you could qualify to win. For more information, visit www.zenithbank.com/betterlife. Experience the better life with Zenith Bank. Zenith Bank, in your best interest.